Alright everyone, let's go through the runes. We'll see how many we can get through, but I'd like to talk about the runes today and kind of their significance to me and my own interpretation. I get a lot from Edred Thorson, his Futhark handbook. Here, I'll just show you all this actually. So Edred Thorson wrote this book, Futhark, a handbook of rune magic. It's very good. It's kind of like my rune Bible. I'd highly recommend it. It incorporates a lot of different aspects to every rune. It kind of shows you how to make it with your body, how it's pronounced in different languages, what it means esoterically as well as literally, and it has a lot of good descriptions about what it symbolizes or what it is in magic and what purpose it serves. So there's a lot of good information on every single rune. So let's go ahead and dive in. See. This is Sewelu. Now Sewelu is wholeness. It is a rune that has very much to do with light, with energy, and with finding that light within yourself. It kind of looks like a lightning bolt. It is about completion of yourself, about going back to who you were supposed to be, finding that person that you're supposed to be, becoming whole, becoming that energetic being that you're supposed to be, and that's Sewelu. Uros. Uros is kind of looks like a small N. So Uros, it basically is primordial strength. It has to do with that strength that we can always call upon, something that's a part of us that we can get back to. Primordial strength is different than regular strength. It's something that feels like a distant ancestor, something that our ancestors used to be a part of and fueled them, but we have to reach out to find it. That's still ingrained in us. Still gives us strength, but it's a very specific kind of strength that we can choose to manifest by supporting that primordial nature within us to not necessarily, it's not about wholeness, it's more about a form of energy and fuel that humanity has kind of forgotten about. Uros, it is often drawn in a certain shape where it goes further and further into itself, kind of like it would be circular in other traditions, but for Uros it's more rigid. And then at that point, there's a point that becomes like a passageway into the void between now and between the past, between what we use to strengthen ourselves now and what our ancestors were a part of. That instinct, that primordial instinct that connects one to a primordial strength. So let's go ahead and move on. Ansus. Ansus is often called Odin's rune. Ansus is about calling upon the gods. It is it's kind of connected to sacrifice and conjuration. That's why when you make it with your body, you kind of move your hands like this upward. And when you're making a sacrifice or calling upon the gods, you kind of want to put your arms in that way where your right arm is a little bit above your left. And you're basically putting your head down and calling upon the gods. You're focusing within yourself and you're trying to connect to that divinity, which is both above but also within yourself as a person. So Ansus is the rune that is calling upon the gods, that energy that you emit naturally as a human being when you call upon the gods or spirits. And to get in touch with that rune is a necessary step to get in touch with the gods. All right, Algaes, disruption, where we get the word hail, as in like sleet, as in snow. So Algaes is about disrupting your current trajectory. You are safe in this rut that you're in. You've fallen into this rut and you're moving forward. Algaes teaches that a disruption can lead to creation. A disruption in your current course can lead to a different kind of manifestation for you. It's often used when somebody wants to manifest, when somebody feels like they hit a roadblock. that they can't continue on. There needs to be a blooming of that primal seed that is Algaes. It represents the primal seed. And that rune, when you draw it, even in rune reading or when you're trying to use it in magic, it's about changing the status quo of your life at that time, or especially your spiritual life at that time. Disrupting it so that a new seed is planted or a new seed blooms within yourself. And perhaps you change your practice, perhaps you meet somebody different, perhaps you just try to attune yourself to a different energy than you used to. Okay, let's move forward. It's going to be hard to get through 24 of these in the time and that I can allot for this. So the Raido. So Raido is about journey. It's connected to a lot of different runic sigils for gods. So every god has a kind of runic sigil, especially in the Norse practice. Raido is it's about your journey as a human being, the paths that you walk, not necessarily reaching anything, but how to walk along the path that you find yourself at. When you draw this rune, when you're doing a rune reading, it means that you're moving forward in your journey. You're moving. It kind of means that you are moving. You're not sure if it's forward, but you are moving. You're making progress. You're not standing still, but when you draw this rune, it's very much about, or when you try to, use it in magic, it's very much attuned to, you are moving, you are on a path, and you want to strengthen your path, use this rune in magic. You want to solidify your commitment to this path, make this a part of rune magic. That's my own inspiration on Raido. So next one is Towas. It's the gateway. It's often symbolized as the gateway esoterically, but also a thorn on a bush, because it kind of looks like a thorn, but it also looks like a gateway. So there's two different understandings. There's two different things that I can say on Towas. So Towas, it's the rune of Thor. You might ask, what does gateway have to do with being with Thor, or a thorn on a bush have to do with Thor? So a gateway is always guarded, and usually within ourselves we have certain connections to different gods, and within ourselves we always have this. We have an equivalency of Thor that will test us before we can go into this gateway. And by test, I mean there's a part of ourselves that inherently only wakes up to a certain degree, depending on the gateway, after we address the gatekeeper and work past the gatekeeper, either by compromise, you can't do it through compromise, either by wit or by strength. There are gateways within, and that's one way to get through a lot of gateways, but you have to do it to varying degrees, and the natures change as you go up your spine. So there's always a Thor kind of gatekeeper, and or equivalency. And as far as a thorn on a bush, what you're trying to gain might be beautiful, but it also has thorns. When you try to pick that rose, you might run across some thorns. So when you try to kind of transcend through a certain gate, you're going to come upon that gatekeeper, and also you might lose a bit of yourself that you didn't realize that you needed to lose. All right, so let's move forward. Manas. This is about the self. It's actually two unjos, which looks like the capital P, facing each other. It's two joys facing each other, looking into oneself. It's very much about looking into oneself, about your little self and your big self, both your identity, your ego, and your soul, and that relationship with that. One-pointed relationship of two different joys, two different understandings of one another, focused inward, not outward. That's where the self is understood. That's where the self manifests, between the exterior and the interior, between the subjective and objective. That's where the self is. If we focus on manas, it's also, by the way, it's also a rune for Heimdall. But that's a whole nother conversation. But manas is very much about one-pointed concentration on the self, whether it be big self or small self, and really understanding the relationship with that. If you're trying to manifest something in your path as far as a personal change, trying to understand who you are, Manas is a really great rune to work with. Okay, let's move forward. Towas. Tir, according to some people, but Towas. It's basically an arrow. We see arrows all the time, but we also saw arrows, centuries ago on stones. So Towas is about the spiritual warrior path. So it could be the warrior path for some people, but a lot of the times the spiritual warrior path for most people. It's about deciding for yourself, what is being a warrior? What is it to be a spiritual warrior? What is it to be a warrior? What does that mean to you? What is the nature of your path? And really, this rune is very basic. It's like, okay, this is a path. This is a warrior's path. Why is it a warrior's path and not just a path? Well, it's about understanding that you're going to have to struggle. You're going to have to fight along your path, mostly with things that are within. This rune is used very often, and as far as with path work or with other runes, because it solidifies, you are trying to conquer things along your path. It's usually within. And that's, Towas or Til, the god of order, Norse god. Some people say that he was before Odin. I don't usually follow that, but god of order, god of, okay, this is military skill, even inward military skill. Here's the tactics that you're going to use along your spiritual path. Ewas. Not I was, but Ewas. It's movement. Up and down the world tree Yggdrasil. It's Sleipnir. Odin's horse, 8-legged horse. It is about not moving externally, but the movement of energy up the spine is what I found. It is about reaching into gateways to different dimensions and engaging in them. Every time, you would go through a gate, you need to move past that. Once you get through the gate, you need to move further. You need an extra spurt of energy. That is Ewas. It is travel. It's not journey as much as it is travel. It's about pure movement of energy, movement. Towas might be the warrior's path. Raido might be journey. Ewas is about movement, and you need movement in these things. That's why it's important. Once again, this is my own personal gnosis, so you can have your own understanding of the runes. That's completely fine. This is my personal gnosis based on what I think I understand. So take everything that I say with that understanding. Makana, growth, very much an earth rune. It looks like a capital B. It's kind of hard to see some of the runes that I'm showing you because of the light, but it looks like a capital B, very much associated with earth, with growth, with healing. If you don't have healing in your life, if you don't have a connection to earth, healing is going to be very hard for you, because we borrow our bodies from the earth and then we give them back. We borrow our spirit, our life force from the earth, then we give it back. Makana is often either seen as mountains or the female breasts, because you have those two humps. But it's very much connected to earth and the fertility of women in the Norse practice, as far as I understand. So you definitely need healing in your life. All right, so Pertho. Yeah. Initiation. There we go. Initiation. So this is kind of like a cup of dice put on its side. So it's kind of like the leap of faith rune. Like, okay, I'm taking a gamble on doing what I'm going to do. I'm taking a gamble, with this direction. Let's see how the dice turn out. Now, you can increase like your connection to the dice and make it more sure. But there's always that idea, like, I'm not sure if this is the right way to go, but I'm going to try it anyway. Initiate yourself. That's kind of what it is. Even if it's a bad initiation, at least you're going to move forward with Ewas. But you might have to move back as well. So initiation, it's not about knowing everything beforehand. It's about starting, and that's Perth or Perthal. Ah. Yeah. Jera. So Jera is, let me see if I can get there we go. So yeah, Jera is harvest. What are you getting out of something? If you pull it for a rune reading, or if you're trying to use it in magic, it's always, if you pull that, it basically means you're gonna reap a harvest of some sort. You're gonna get something from this, so you should continue on. If you're using it as magic, you're saying, okay, I want to harvest the fruits that I have committed myself to, and I want to harvest them now. You can kind of like try to force this as blood magic, but it's definitely about harvest, getting something for your efforts. That's what Jera, the rune, is. I might be going a little bit faster. I want to get through most of these. So this is Issa. This is Issa. Now Issa is basically it's like an up and down line. Let me see if I can get it's like an up and down line. Issa. So this is standstill. This is the rune of standstill. It's the rune of, okay, you're not really moving. You are solidified. Now there's a very important lesson to learn from Issa, is that in order to get to anywhere else, you have to have a solid path beneath you. It is ice. It is like that ice lake that you travel across. And then after you go across it, Issa is still back there, but it still helped you gain a solid ground to at least move at all. But it's very much solidity. It's very much torpor. You learn over time that it's the ice that you walk along, but you never want to just stay with the ice. You never want to stay in that torpor. Issa is very much connected to frost giants. That's what Issa is. So let's continue on forward. Degas. So Degas is kind of like a tie shape. New day, dawn. It's the moment of both like twilight and dawn. It's when your spiritual environment changes completely, if we're looking at it spiritually, or it's literally dawn or twilight, if you're looking at it basically or materially. But spiritually, it means that your environment is changing, your surroundings have changed, and really they've changed because oftentimes it represents a light that has kind of been turned on. And now you see your surroundings, and now you can understand your surroundings because that light was turned on. That's what a breakthrough is, like, oh, I'm suddenly inspired. That's Degas. That's where we get the word day, in my understanding. Okay, so let's go to Echidnas. Echidnas is opening. It can be opening of the mind, of the spirit, of the soul. It's represented as the torch that you carry along your path, so that you can see around you. So it's kind of like, it reminds me of something that lights your way as you go. Like, I'm going forward. I'm going through the gates. That is Towas, and then I'm moving, which is Ewas, and then what is lighting my way as I work with Redo and continue my journey is Echidnas. It's that opening. It's the opening of sight directly around you, kind of, and directly around you as you go forward in your path. Okay, so let's see what else we have. We have quite a few left. So Gabbo. So Gabbo is partnership. It's making an agreement. It's kind of like shaking hands. It's like, okay, it also represents a gift for a gift. Like, I gave you a gift, so like, give me a gift, kind of. But it's really about partnership. It's about, okay, we have met as partners, and we can cooperate, but we have to give and take. We can't just expect. Gabbo is all about like equal. It's not about give or take. It's not about somebody just getting everything. It's about making sure that everybody in the partnership gets something. And this is kind of why a lot of people sign their name as an X if they couldn't write. It's like, okay, I agree to this partnership. I'm going to give my service in exchange for me getting this or that. That's why we got the X. That's Gabbo. So let's go ahead and move forward. Algaes. Surprised I didn't come to this one sooner. So Algaes is one of the most mysterious runes for most people. My understanding is that it is the protection from Yggdrasil. So Algaes, standing like this, that is Algaes. Turned upside down and with a circle around it is actually the peace sign, which means we don't have protection. We need protection from violence. Anyway, so Algaes is definitely about protection from Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil giving us protection, and us being connected to Yggdrasil, that world tree, to that thing that is at the center of the 9 worlds, 9 base dimensions in my own understanding. Getting protection from that, from which the dimensions bloom, Yggdrasil providing that to us. It's much more esoteric than a lot of the other runes, but it's so valuable. Algaes is once again that rune, one of my patron runes. Iwas. It's not Awas, it's Iwas. Let me see if I can. Yeah, so we got kind of a shape there going. I'm sorry that these aren't super easy to see. This is my personal set. It's kind of hard to see on video, but I made this set through. I made this set myself by cutting the branch, by sawing it into pieces, and then engraving all the runes in it, and then burning all the runes in, then painting them all red after applying some of my own blood. So they're very much attuned to me. But so Iwas is communication throughout Yggdrasil. It can be communication. This can mean communication in your life. Like, either if you draw this, it might mean that you need more communication between yourself and the people you're connected to. If you're trying to use it magically, it's very much about communication with different gods, different realms on the world tree Yggdrasil. Big rune of communication, trying to anchor yourself in the bottom of the world tree, and then also at the top, and then you have this strong network of communication along Yggdrasil, is my own understanding. Once again, all my personal gnosis, so take it for what it's worth. Ingus. Ingus is a wonderful rune. It's all about fertility. It's Freyr's rune. It's all about fertility. It looks like a DNA sign, kind of. It is the spirit of that potent soil. That soil that you want to plant in, and that soil that you want to harvest in Jeddah. But in order to harvest, there has to be fertile soil that you planted a seed into. That is Ingus, fertility, plain and simple, in a number of different ways. Okay, let's see what else we got. We're getting closer, everybody. Okay, this is actually the rune for constraint, Nathis. So Nathis, it looks a lot like Gabbo, but it's actually not an X. It's like an up and down stick, and then more of a diagonal X through it. So Nathis is constraint. You can't move. Something is stopping you from moving. This is one rune where there's not a lot of positivity to it, and there's no way to see it as a positive. It is about constraint. You can't move. Something is holding you back. Something is stopping you. That is what Nathis is. You can use this against people in magic, or if you draw it, there is something holding you back. Very much like being bound like a prisoner. That's what Nathis is. All right. Let's see. We got 4 more. Lagus, flow, very water oriented. In runic sigils, you might add a couple of these and face like one up and one down with a face in a different direction to let the sigil flow. But Lagus is about that flowing, that water flowing. So it's about energy flowing, about something. It's like the mountain being rained on, and then going down the mountain, going through a river to different streams, and then back into the ocean, and then it evaporates again. So it's about the flowing nature of cycles and water. And you want to work with this rune if you feel like there's blockages along your spine, or there's blockages in the flow of energy. You want to use Lagus. Fehu. I don't know why this one is so pronounced. Fehu. It was used to symbolize cattle a lot of the time, but what it basically means is wealth that you have and you move, that moves. So you have this wealth, this power that you're taking with you, that you can move, that is taken with you. So If I have the talisman, if I have some spiritual energy, if I have some kind of valuables on me spiritually, and I take them with me, and that power, that spiritual power that I might gain in my, central shrine or altar, and I take it with me, that's kind of what I understand it spiritually, is that I'm taking this personal power with me, or personal power that I gain by focusing, and I take that with me wherever I go. That's Fehu for me. Using a lot of money spells. But spiritually, I think it's way more vibrant. Okay, so we got Othila. Othila is about the home. It's about power and home stationary. You can't take it with you. This is your home hearth, your family, your clan. This is something that's stationary. It's where you're from. It's something that you need to protect. Spiritually, it's something that you need to protect, that you're a part of, whether it be your family, whether it be who you are. That's Othila. And then we have one final rune, Wunjo. Of course, Wunjo, joy. So it's basically a capital P, except it's more of a P that has like a sharpness to the round part. So Wunjo is joy. Joy, however you feel it, in whatever way. Joy. Spiritually, it's the spiritual ecstasy of your path. It's just being happy. It's about being content. It's about being okay with your current state, even if it's a bad one. Wunjo is joy. At any rate, I have taken your time for long enough. These are the Elder Futhark runes. I hope that I've explained them all okay for you. Once again, I try to get through them all, so if y'all want me to focus on different runes specifically, feel free to tell me in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was informative. If you want to contact me and ask about the runes, or ask about maybe telling me what kind of special videos you want me to make, feel free to contact me at www.facebook.com/hunter.salazar. Message me, friend me, what have you. I will do my best. I'm devoted to these runic spirits. I do consider them as spirits, and they are the DNA of the multiverse. So thank you very much for watching, and hope to see all of you on the channel in the future.